We're here, and it's a beautiful day, and we are the community that gathers in this circle. Whether you're here for the first time or you're here many times, welcome. Whether you're here in this room or joining us online at some point during the week, welcome. May we always know that we're a place that welcomes us however we are, at whatever stage, at whatever phase, at whatever age. No matter who we are, our identity, our sexual orientation, our understandings of the world, we're welcome here to share and to be welcomed. So welcome to this place and this gathering. We light this candle this morning to honor the light in us all, as we do every Sunday we gather. We light this candle recognizing that this light joins us, connects us. It speaks to us of life and energy, the light of the cosmos and the light of spiritual wisdom, which we not only can access through the wisdom that we share with each other, but because of who we are. That wisdom dwells in us. And so we're grateful for that this morning. We light this candle today also in honor of Mother's Day. We're alive and we're alive, all of us, in part thanks to a mother, right? A birther of life. We recognize the gift of our birth to us and recognize and honor the light of that gift. It's always a wonderful thing, though, on a day like today, because we can honor the mothers in our lives in so many different ways. We can honor birth mothers and adopted mothers, and we can honor those who have, without ties of blood, been like mothers to us. And we can also recognize and honor those who express that spirit of care to others, regardless of their parentage. For those who shine that mothering light onto other human beings, onto animals, onto all that they encounter. So we honor today that mothering spirit, life-giver, caretaker, protector, feminine spirit. We honor the gift of that light to make a difference in our lives. And so in this kind of spacious way, we can share gratitude for that. And to all of you who celebrate Mother's Day today, happy Mother's Day. We join together this morning in that honor and that celebration. So as we sing our way into this circle, because that's enough words, let's be here in spirit, in presence, and focus our time now into this place. We gather with gratitude for this place we now sit, for the reality that this is ancient and beautiful land, part of our Mother Earth, sacred in its very existence. And as we share gratitude for the land, part of our Mother Earth, we're cared for, we are honored that it has been cared for by Indigenous ones that have dwelled here through the ages. For the Cree people, Papaschase First Nation, the Métis of Central Alberta, and so many tribes and bands that have called this home. We recognize the hurt that has come as a result of this land and the hope of reconciliation and partnership we might now be part of, that we might work to make this a future land that we share. And so we honor this time in a song that honors our reconciling ways. May we sing in honor of the place we inhabit. I want to tell you a little bit, I actually want to introduce you to something that is really important to me, and maybe I've talked about this to you before, but I want to do it again because I love it. And we're sitting on a carpet, and it helps to sit on a carpet when you do this. There are times when you don't have the best of days. Some days are fantastic. You know, the sun is shining, you've done everything you need to do, you can go out and play, everything's great. But there are also days where things don't feel so great. There's this feeling on the inside that is kind of yucky. Maybe it's sad. Maybe you just don't like something that's happened. Maybe you had a little something with your sibling, your brother or your sister, or your mom or your dad, or something that didn't feel quite right. And those days happen to everyone, those days. And when those happen, it's really important to remember what's good about life and about the good days so that we can have hope. So one of the things that I brought 3 symbols that I'm going to show you on this screen. Here's the first one. That's just a picture, but what does that picture mean to you? It means love. That's great. It really does. I mean, what else does a heart mean? I guess, it pumps blood in our body, but when we see that, we usually think of love. So it's really important to remember love and the love we have in our lives when things aren't feeling so great. Important to remember it always. So we're sitting on a carpet. Everyone, the good thing about carpets are they're like little whiteboards, right? So let's everyone draw a heart in the carpet. Play along at home. You can draw it on your leg. If you're wearing velour, even better, because it stays for a while. Okay, we've drawn our heart. What's this symbol all about? What does it mean? Yeah? Yeah, that's right. It's the sun. It's our light. And you know what? Light comes into our life from the sun, definitely. But light, kind of in a different kind of way, gets shone by people's faces, happens when things are great, when we're feeling kind of up, we're feeling light. So it means light like light from light, like sun and light bulbs, but it also means light like we're feeling kind of light, like that different kind of, like not heavy, but light. So it's kind of got lots of meanings, that one. So I like remembering that light is part of our life, and and lots of people bring us light and lightness. So everyone draw a sun. Okay, we did it. Here's another one. That's a happy face. It's an emoji. Yeah. Silly me, it's not a happy face. It's a happy emoji. So that happy emoji is, that could mean a lot of things. It might mean a smile, it might mean happiness. Today, I want to call it joy, because joy is something that we can have whether we're feeling like smiling or not. Joy is something that doesn't live on our face. It lives deep, deep down. So there's even a song about that, but we won't sing that right now. So everyone draw this joyous face, and you can make it look however you like. It's silly, it might seem, to draw on a carpet, but you can draw it on your bed sheets. You can draw it. No, I mean it. When you're lying in bed, and sometimes, I don't know about you, sometimes I lie in bed and I worry about things, so it helps to be able to draw with your finger. They were going to get out markers. See how silly they are? You guys knew what I meant. We can draw where we're feeling just a little bit anxious or nervous or not our best. When it's not a great day, we can draw these things with our finger because they remind us. So we're going to sing a song. And it's all about joy. So if you feel like singing, that's great. Let's sing the song. But if you're feeling like you're not in a singing kind of mood, let's just keep drawing love, light, and joy. Because sometimes the more we draw it, the more we might feel it. It's a good reminder. So, ready? Never-ending joy.
A reading,
It's on, yeah.
it's on. A reading from Matthew chapter 13, verse 44. The spiritual life is like a treasure hidden in a field for years and then accidentally found by a passerby. The finder is ecstatic. What a find! And with joy proceeds to sell everything they own to buy that field. In this story passed down to us from a first century community,
There's an old story that goes like this. The Buddha once held up a flower to those around him and asked each to say something about it. One of them gave a lecture, and another recited a poem. Yet another spoke an eloquent parable. Each one tried to outdo the other in depth and wisdom. One last man stood up but said nothing, only smiled. And the Buddha responded to this one, "Only you have seen the flower." In this ancient Buddhist tale, may we find wisdom for our living. So we've been in this series of planting seeds in our lives, seeds of various sorts that might take root in us and that we might cultivate. Today, I want to talk about joy, although I didn't really want to talk about joy most of the week. But such is the way when you choose a theme and then feel, oh darn, is it Joy Week? I don't know what to say about that. And I think I felt that way because joy is one of those hard things to explain. When you feel it, there are few words to describe. I mean, real joy. Hard to describe that in words because I think that experience often goes beyond words into a realm that can only be felt and lived and experienced. And that's why it's very similar to the flip side of joy, which is sorrow and grief. It's one of those experiences that also goes beyond words and is hard to describe and can't be encapsulated by descriptors. And so, like grief, when we talk about joy, it's quite helpful to stop describing it and start leaving it to the world of stories and images, which is why the two pieces of wisdom we shared this morning are really stories and images that don't really have much to do with describing them with words. I found these wine bottle labels, which I really like. My favorite one is the one on the right that said, "You had me at Merlot." Although the left one is good too. Chardonnay is the answer. What was the question? And just in case you can't read it, the middle one says, "You say potato, I say Pinot." I'm showing you this because of another little story. Life is said to be like a good bottle of wine. Everyone reads the label on the bottle. Hardly anyone tastes the wine. If only I could taste a bird, a flower, a tree, a human face, but alas, I don't have time because my energy is spent deciphering the label. I don't know the full depth of what that aphorism means, but I know that it says to me that I only really scratch the surface of what it is to live. At least most of the time. I busy myself such that I register, oh, there's a bird, or, yep, that's a flower, or there's a person next to me, And most of the time, though, have not gotten past the IDing of the thing. To get to what it really is. That thing might be pure joy sitting next to me. The moments that move beyond and deeper than just the reading the label level of life are fewer than I'd like to admit. The moments and the experiences that move past that label and actually open up the experience to taste and see and hear and dive into the depth of what's before me, those moments, when they happen, those seem few, but I think they could be more. I think those are the moments when I've gotten to know what joy is. Perhaps that's why the Buddha was concerned in so many of his teachings with awareness of the present moment. That the past and the future does not exist, only this moment. That is a path to joy. That's why dogs are so good at being joyous. They don't care when you left, they care you're home. To hold up a flower, and although we're tempted to describe it in words of prose or poetry, doing our best to categorize, label, and explain, rather, it's the one who finds in the flower a source of joy, so much so that they can drink in the fullness of the texture, the scent, the color, the shape, the miraculous composition according to nature's geometry, and without any need to understand it or describe it, experience that joy in such a way that it can just be expressed in a simple smile. It's that one who has truly seen joy, who has seen the flower. There was a Snoopy comic. It's not really a comic, a panel. Maybe a t-shirt, I don't know. But it was Snoopy. And he was saying, well, what was the bird's name? Thank you. Woodstock was sitting right where Woodstock always sits, on the roof of Snoopy's house, and was singing. We know because there were music notes coming out of his head. And Snoopy says, "I hate people who sing in the morning." If you are one of those people, I apologize to you in advance, but I think many people have a problem with people who are just so darn happy. Really, and in the morning, that's even worse. So why did I say that? Because I think joy is not about our disposition. The tendency some people have because of their temperament to be more cheerful than other people, for one reason or another, there appear to be people who are just naturally wired to be happy about everything. And that's great. They can wake up in the morning and sing a cheery song and look at their breakfast cereal and simply clap their hands with delight. I envy you if you are one of those people. But so regardless of how we're wired, that's not the joy that we're talking about as a spiritual seed to be planted. Joy isn't a matter of temperament, whether we happen to be more happy or more serious or what have you. Nor is joy about pretending. The sort of pretend joy that plasters this look on your face, the look that, those who actually know you quite well can tell when you've put that look on your face. We're not talking about stoicism to hide the way you truly feel. We're not talking about putting on a facade to pretend everything's all right. We're not talking about grinning and bearing it. That's not joy. Expression of how we really feel, acknowledging what's going on inside of us and own whatever reaction we're having, that's important. And I've got, this is another story. I didn't know I was entering the confessional, but as a 40-something-year-old man, I can tell you I'm still learning how to do this. And maybe it's my gender, maybe it's not, I don't know, but I think that maybe it is because the other genders in my life keep telling me that's why. I still struggle with not knowing what I'm feeling exactly. And that could be a problem, but also I'm also not very good at expressing what I don't know I'm feeling. Or articulating it very well. She's not in the room. Okay. I was looking for my partner in life, but she's left the room. She'll have a reflection on this next week. Where was I? Okay, so I know I'm not the only male member of the species to deal with that. In any case, as we all learn on this path of ours, we can state, maybe in my case aspirationally, that we feel the way we feel. And we learn to acknowledge those emotions in healthy ways. Yes, I'm working on it, but I suspect we're all working on that in some way. So learning how we're feeling and being able to express it honestly is part of what I'm talking about. But really, when we talk of joy, that gets imaged in spiritual traditions. It's distinctive also from our circumstances. Chocolate makes me happy. Lots of things make me happy. A good day with no traffic makes me feel better than a snowstorm and slippery roads. I feel better when I'm with people I appreciate and whose company I enjoy than when I am surrounded by negativity and those who project a grumpiness. All of us have things that make us happy and things that don't. All that's to say that circumstances of life might make us feel one way or another, but this isn't what our traditions address when speaking of joy either. Stuff happens. Every day, stuff happens. And it can affect our mood, it can affect our emotions, it can affect whether we're feeling good about it or not, but that's not what joy is. Joy isn't relying on the good stuff that happens in a day to make us feel joy. Okay, so, I hate that. I spend more time talking about what something isn't than what it is. 20th century theologian Henry Nouwen has written this: "Joy does not simply happen to us. We have to choose joy and keep choosing it every day." End quote. So I'm thinking that if we wish to plant seeds of joy in our lives, we're talking about a choice to allow joy to dwell within us regardless of what's happening around us. What's happening to us, what's going on within us. Joy is just as much of a choice as love is, as patience is, as kindness is, as faithfulness to our values is. Those are all seeds, by the way, that we've talked about over the past couple of weeks. Should we choose to love the ones closest to us only on Wednesdays, only when the sun shines, only on payday, only on weekends? That's ridiculous, right? Of course not. We choose to love those closest to us every day, and it's crucial especially on difficult days. And at 8 in the morning. Good one. Joy then is much more closely related to who we are than what we do or how we feel. Joy is about choosing to recognize the essence of who we are. So, going back to this flower idea that the Buddha holds up, if this is instructive to our life, which I think probably the Buddha was hoping it would be, there's a way of looking at a flower and really seeing it that has nothing to do with our capability to describe it. It's about appreciating what it really is. And I suspect that what we could be talking about here instead of a flower is put ourselves in that picture. Imagine that the Buddha is standing beside you and pointing at you and saying, "Who is this?" Rather than words that describe, and rather than trying to give the Buddha our CV and all of the words that describe who we've come to be and understand ourselves to be, and fancy words and all the things we've accomplished, how can we look beyond those things to see who we really are? And maybe like the flower, we are something that inspires a smile that might describe exactly who we are. Maybe it's that inner joy that's our birthright. Flowers that bloom not only give joy, but they are joy. A calm lake that mirrors beauty on its surface. It's not only reflecting joy, it is joy. You a human being that has good days and bad, that has real challenges, are not just, when it's convenient, conduits of joy. You are joy. So thank you to the Buddha for a flower that really is us. To quote the wisdom of the Jesus tradition, is what inspires us when we find spiritual treasure. This little tiny parable that I love, that this passerby just stumbles upon this treasure. It's not their field. It's not their treasure. But it's a treasure. It's recognized as a treasure. And it doesn't take long for that person to be so ecstatic and so filled with joy that they have to sell everything they own so they can buy the field where the treasure resides. When we find a spiritual treasure, when we discover joy, for example, when we choose to find it in each moment and the treasures it has to offer, we might realize that, wait a minute, this is those experiences of life that help me go beyond the label and the identification. This is the experience of life that is about tasting the wine and not reading about it. This is a moment that is giving my day purpose and meaning. This is a moment that is making me go, aha, or yes. These moments, these treasures, these joys that we have that transcend labels and words, those are the things that we realize would inspire us to sell everything we own, to buy the field where we discover those treasures. These are the things that we want to repeat, in other words. These are the things that we want in our lives to happen again and again. Those moments where we're experiencing something significant. Joy beyond words, an experience of beauty or nature or humanity, a moment of solitude in a relationship, something that moves us deeper toward understanding ourselves and our world. We want to buy the field. We want to do it again. We want to create the circumstances to pause and stop and experience that which inspires joy to bubble up like a stream. I am now showing you a picture. Helen Keller is thought to have said, quote, "There is joy in self-forgetfulness. So I try to make the light in others' eyes my sun, the music in others' ears my symphony, the smile on others' lips my joy." End quote. That reminds me that a sure way for me to get back in touch with that inner joy is to forget about the stuff in my own head. To forget about the list that I've made about everything, and to start doing something for someone else. To start practicing self-forgetfulness. That there are times for that. That when I want to experience that sense of joy, that sense of tasting the wine of life, that might be one way I can get back to that. There are many more treasures in those fields, in others' fields, than in my own. I think that parable is so brilliant because that passerby didn't own that field. It's not their worry. That's not their concern. When I start putting my head and my heart towards someone else, there are many more treasures in that field than in my own. Are you skeptical about existing as joy, that you are joy? If you're skeptical of that, do something for someone else. Are you having trouble accessing a sense of joy at certain times, like all of us do? Maybe we could willingly forget ourselves for a time and throw ourselves into helping another person, if only for a minute. And then we could examine the field we find ourselves in. And there's a pretty good chance that there's a joyous treasure awaiting us there. May that be the kind of joy we have in our lives, the choice to have it every day, to let it in, to know it lives deep within us, to know that we are it, and to let it out. May this be so for us in so many ways. A brief thank you for all of us who provide and support and give of your time and your energy and your skills to the life of this community. In whatever way that you're able to, we notice and we're grateful. Nothing happens around here without all of the volunteer hours and skills and gifts, and thank you for that. And if you want to support us in a financial manner this morning, you can do that with our donation box that's at the back of the room. That will accept your checks or cash in an envelope, and please put your name on it so that we can acknowledge that gift with a tax receipt. And of course, you can donate online. Thank you to all those of you who donate by PAR, pre-authorized remittance that comes out of your bank account. You don't even think about it anymore, but we think about it when we receive that here. So thank you very much. As always, there's a chance to support our efforts with buying your grocery cards through us. You can do that at a table out in the foyer after the gathering. We receive a small portion of that amount back, and that every little bit helps. So thank you for those of you who support that program. We close our gathering in part with the help of the choir this morning that helps remind us that what the children also helped us remember, that light and life and love and joy are worthy to remember. And so we welcome the choir to help us go out with that song on our lips of lighting up the world with love. I'd be foolish to add more words to what the choir has already said. So do what they said. Let's light up the world with more love, and let's do it with the light of our joy, with the light of who we are. And that's all we need to do. So take this light with you. Oh.